Hey, what's happening, everybody? Welcome back to a special episode of The Strange Road. I'm your host, Mikey, and as always, riding shotgun, Bub the bro host. We got Stoner in Master Control tonight, and would you say the world heavyweight champion of The Strange Road guest, Thomas Johnson? What is up, my brother?
Thank you.
How are you, man?
I'm here, made it.
Yes, yes, you did. I hope you got here safe. We're so stoked. A lot of things happening, just in general this year. But you guys just had an event,
Right?
your fall equinox event, which is
It was beautiful.
and I want to tell you, I work on a TV show here in town, little PBS music show, and our hair and makeup gal, Rose, went to your event.
Nice.
And she started talking about at lunch, Monday's shoot, how she went to this really cool event at Serpent Mound that she kind of just stumbled upon and found out about. I was like, yeah, that's Tom and Terry.
Nice.
So I'm glad your event went well. She said it was awesome. She just went for the one day, but any major takeaways from the event?
Beautiful weather. In fact, hair and makeup, some gal came in, don't know who she was, but she did the hair for the bride. We did a wedding out there.
No way.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever done a wedding out there at an event?
Altars. No, that's a first.
Man, that would be a great spot to have a cool little
officiating.
You did?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm a minister.
I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
I'm ordained.
There you go, Bub. Bub's already shocked.
I'm already there. But I guess
I'm not religious, but
second time around, if it ever happens, I'm going to call you up.
Oh, dang! I wish I wasn't married already.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Kind of.
Have a wedding. Somebody's gonna have a wedding out at your giant Bigfoot tree carving in the front yard. I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about that.
We can
For
do
those
that.
of you that don't know, Tom, why don't you tell a little bit about yourself and just kind of let everybody. If you don't know Thomas, he's done a few episodes in the past. Episode 11, I think, and then we did the Serpent Mound Impact Crater Tour video with you as well.
Yeah. I'm just an entrepreneur. Came here from Michigan in '78 and decided I was going to make it my home. And so I have a rock shop. I built that in 2000 and never thought I'd own a rock shop, but it was kind of a necessity. And I quit traveling basically back from the 78 to 03. I did, or 08, I did a lot of shows across country, Tucson, Denver. And it just got too old, too boring.
Yeah. And
so I just settled down and raised a family there in Adams County, and enjoyed it ever since.
Wow.
But the shop has, we decided, we had these old 150-year-old maple trees, and they were falling apart and getting old, so we decided to make something out of them. And the last carving was a family of Sasquatches.
So rad.
And they're the largest Sasquatch carving in Ohio. They're
It's
18 foot
so
high.
cool.
How tall?
too.
18 foot.
Jeez.
Yeah.
They're big.
Okay.
And it's a female. The main star is a female called Alma. That's her name, which means Sasquatch in Russian. And that's what they call Sasquatch over there is Alma.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And she's waving, and she's got these really big boobs. And that's my artist. He says, "How big are they going to be?" That's what was his interest.
Sasquatch hoot
18
size.
foot tall tree. Yeah, I'm thinking
Them heavies.
And it is giant. It's a really big tree.
It's big.
It's
So-
probably
That's
total
fascinating.
about 20 feet around,
wow.
So for Stoner and Bub, for both these guys, the giant tree where we did the live stream, when you guys built the little stage in 2020,
That's the Sasquatch.
that tree that our tent was under is the Sasquatch tree.
I'll have to see it again. I mean, it's been a minute.
We were in shade the whole time under that
Well, I
pop-up
get
tent.
it. I just don't really.
Now there's a deck on the back of it, so you can actually go up and stand with Sasquatch. We could do a wedding on top of there. So
Yeah, I was going to say, that's the next wedding spot.
That's crazy.
Well, Ryan Singer and I and his friend, we came and visited you back in July and hung out at the rock shop, and I got to see the final product of the Sasquatch carving. Just absolutely blown away, man. And not to mention the giant eagle with the serpent in its talons. That huge carving is out front. So
that's another big one.
yeah, and it really adds a lot to the whole vibe of the shop.
It's folk art. And, I like to create things.
Yeah.
So
The guy that did it's very talented. Shout out to him. What's his name? Is he
Joe Medford.
Joe Memford?
He's like
Salute to you.
a Leonardo with a chainsaw. He's just a magnificent guy.
And they
cool.
stained it, right? You guys stained it.
Yeah, we put
right?
timber oil on it.
Timber oil. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh man, it's amazing. But for all of you that want to maybe pull it up and look at pictures online, I wouldn't even do that. I would just go to the rock shop and go hang out with Tom and see it in person, because it's hard to really get a scope of it from a photo.
It's awesome. It really is. It turned out a lot better than I thought it would.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And then the locals, they all go, I like your big monkeys. I go, no, they're not big monkeys. They're Sasquatch.
This is older folks probably.
So does
Some
it
people
start up
call
some
me orangutans.
conversation?
I said, no, they're cryptids.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you gotten some conversations out of it?
No, not yet. Other than people that study Sasquatch, they're starting to show up.
Oh, boy.
Starting to show up. That's what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
A magnet.
So it's, one guy from Quebec, that Sunbow,
okay.
he's a Sasquatch guy, and he came out and he actually did a prayer and a
Cool.
a little chant with it with his drum, and I took a video of him. It's actually on our Facebook page.
Okay,
Very
there
cool.
you go.
Yeah.
House
So,
of Phacops.
we had a conversation
rock
with
shop.
it.
So what was the inspiration to make Sasquatch carvings? So what drove you that direction?
I've met some really nice people along the way since I've had that shop that have seen Sasquatch or had interactions with them. And
Just in general, or
in general, and story after story in the general area.
in the in your area? Okay.
Yeah, southwestern Ohio.
Okay.
So Peebles are it's the Peebles, Locust Grove, Serpent Mound area.
Right, and extending out even like Shawnee Forest, Brush Creek State Forest,
Yeah. And they tell you the encounters or the
Yeah.
interactions?
and even woodland altars. But they're people that I know, and then after you get to know people, they start opening up a little bit,
Sure,
telling you stories,
sure.
and they trust you with these stories.
Sure.
Yeah.
And you gotta go, like, they're not lying to me. Why would they? Why would some 80-year-old lady tell me a story
Yeah.
just to see how I react?
She's not trying to go viral on
Yeah.
TikTok.
No.
Well, isn't it funny too of like what you're saying of how it takes a little while and then they start telling you and then you have to sit there and wonder the whole vetting process of how you go, why would this little 80-year-old woman tell me and make this
'Cause
up?
it's
So
Tom.
that's where that vetting process comes in of relationship and knowing each other and building up that trust. But again, that's always been my one theory is for every one story we get, there's probably 10 stories that people are either too afraid to talk about, they don't want to be made fun of, or who do they even tell? Or
Yeah.
so there's, I think, a giant untapped resource of information and stories and anecdotes that, man, how do we really get those people to say, hey, we'll get you out anonymously. We won't put your name out.
Just
but
carve a big Sasquatch in your yard,
that's the beacon.
and they'll come out.
That's
And that's what I'm seeing.
That's so cool.
So it just some of the stories I'm hearing, it's like, whoa. So just today, before I came up here, 3 ladies in a driveway, and she's talking about her ex-husband and his son seeing Sasquatch, and I said, well, when I get back, you want to tell me about it.
That's awesome.
But they drove up in the driveway just taking pictures of the Sasquatch as I was leaving, and so.
You should almost leave like a little drop box out there, something that people could put their stories in.
Oh, a donation box.
Yeah.
Wow.
Sasquatch story donation box.
Yeah.
Or just tell them to hit us up.
That
Yeah.
too.
We can anonymously do
I'll
a
do a
call-in
Sasquatch
show.
rodeo of
Sasquatch
call after call.
call-in
That'd
show.
be great.
But there's stories out there, and it's nice to hear them.
And you've had your own
They
experiences
could
as
totally
well?
be in
I've
the-
had, directly, I've only had one rock thrown at me.
Okay. But you've
And-
never seen anything. You had something
No, I've
thrown
yet
at you
to
though.
see anything.
Yeah.
The only thing I've actually seen is, and I believe they're interdimensional, and I think they could be either way, depending on where you are. The guy that came down Sunbow from Quebec, he had a conversation with a family of them at Woodland Altars on his way from the Heritage Lodge up to the cabins, the chalet. It's about a half-a-mile walk. And he said he walked through the woods, and on the way through, he had a conversation with 3 of them. I go like, well, I've never seen any Sasquatches anywhere, but he says they're there. And it's all in your consciousness, how you think. They can read your mind, basically, what your thoughts are. So if you're neutral, if you're good with it, you might have an experience with them.
Yeah.
And so the two that happened at Serpent Mound were below there along Brush Creek. And Terry had a group of women in Brush Creek doing a water ceremony and an immersion. And they get in there and they do these little ceremonies and they dunk each other under the water and, like new beginnings. And all of a sudden, this big triangular shaped rock comes sailing down from the ledge, from the ledge is the only thing there, but the ledge from where they were in Brush Creek is probably 50 yards.
I know you're
right.
I know that
it's 80
the
foot
serpent
high.
head, and then it's way far. It's far away.
It is.
Yeah.
And from the head down to the underwater serpent, it's 1,360 feet.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good hike.
Mm-hmm.
And this rock just came out of nowhere and landed right in between the whole group of them in Brush Creek. Poof. And it's like,
That's
okay, where'd
incredible.
that come from?
Wow.
And I asked her, did you get the rock? And she goes, no, I didn't think about it.
Oh, yeah.
But, and then this was last year. And then recently, just about 2 months ago, one of the Sasquatch ladies, she studies them, and she's a nurse up in Wilmington. And she was in a conversation with Terry by the bridge. There were 73 crosses, Brush Creek. And she goes, I haven't heard from Sasquatch lately, because she always gets these signs when she goes in the woods, like a limb breaking or something knocking on the tree. And just as she said that, a big rock fell right in front of her, out of nowhere, out of the clear blue sky. It's like, okay, who's doing that?
So. What's the theory?
Wow.
What do you have a personal theory on why? Are they there just because it's a good wooded area? It's a nice area with good natural resources.
I think it's who's in tune. That's the way I've been taught by some of the elders that Native Americans that study Sasquatch, and it's all in how you perceive things. What is your thought process? Are you neutral? Are you out there to harm them? I'm a hunter.
Yeah, well,
I don't
sure.
ever expect to see one.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Well, maybe that's
Because I'm
why-
out there looking for something to eat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they don't want to be on that pole.
Yeah. Well, I meant more of even if they're in that area, are they up here as well? Are they in Indiana, or is it they're in certain locations for certain reasons?
I think they're everywhere.
Everywhere.
I think they can bilocate. I think they can go. If you can go in and out of dimensions, you can go anywhere.
Yeah.
And you
So-
think they're interdimensional, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
I do.
Background for that.
Yeah, and maybe out west where there's more room, you'll find a footprint or something.
Yeah.
But I think for the most part here in where there's a population, they would almost have to be interdimensional without being seen all the time.
Yeah.
But they have been seen. That's the thing. I've talked to several people that have seen them.
Sure.
And have had interactions with them. And in fact, my personal doctor, he's into rheumatology, and he's a heck of a good doctor. He just retired, and he says he has a recording of two women in Kentucky that have Sasquatch around their. They live in a trailer out in the middle of nowhere, and Sasquatch actually came up to the back window of their trailer, and they recorded about a half hour of it. And he's got that recording of them talking back and forth.
Oh,
He has an audio recording of this.
Yes.
do they sound like they're like? I've heard some of those recordings where it sounds like a Japanese language or some
It's
kind of.
it's not English,
Yeah.
Right.
but apparently it's a conversation, and
Wow.
there just was don't piss them off,
Sure.
And they
Makes
leave
sense.
things for them, and then in return they get something back. Like
Yeah.
they trade, they'll put fruit out there and they'll get something back, and it's always a trade. It's it's mutual.
The horror stories that you hear about people being chased out of certain areas by a whole group of Sasquatch where they get really aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
And, a lot of those times it's like you said with the intentions where we're going to go look for a Bigfoot. One
Right.
sticks out. It was in Southern Ohio, and that was actually in Adams County. It made it on that show, Haunted Forests or Haunted Woods. It was like a paranormal series, but Adams County had this story about Bigfoot. And this gentleman went and took his son, who was like 8 or 10 years old, and went out and took him. And boy, they got surrounded by these things and they got chased out. And it absolutely terrified and completely messed this kid up. Like they never went camping after that. So, you know, like you said, bringing the intention into it, there, maybe you could have a chill hangout at a campfire with a Sasquatch and they might come around you if you're not a jerk.
Well, and leave a sign, you know, throw something at you or knock on a tree. The most recent one I heard was a guy came in the shop and he says, I got a story for you. There's a woods. It's over in Shawnee State Forest. And he said, I will not go in this section of woods because at the entrance, you'll see where these cedar trees are, you know, 6-8 inches around, snapped off, and the tops are stuck in the ground.
What?
Yeah. And I'm going like, whoever can snap off a cedar tree 6 or 8 inches across is not somebody you'd want to know.
No.
Oh, my Lord.
And he says they stick these trees in the ground upside down, and it's just like a warning sign, stay away. And he doesn't go in that section of the woods.
Kind of like stay out of my swamp, like Shrek.
This is my home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, and then not far from there, down in Manchester, of course, there was a guy that came across a Sasquatch on patrol, and he was with the police department, and he was on the River Road, and he was driving at night, and a Sasquatch ran across the road in front of him carrying a deer and jumped over the guardrail and up in the woods.
Good Lord.
He turned his cruiser around and came back and started shining his spotlight up in there. Whatever he saw, he went back to this house, the department headquarters, and took off his gun and badge and quit on the spot. And this was 20 years ago, and he's still following Sasquatch, going around the United States, making replicas, 9-foot replicas of them. And it's going like, what the heck did happen to that guy, right?
Got traumatized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never just been driving around. I mean, obviously there have been times where I'm like, what's that? And it's a deer or it's an elk or it's a moose, depending on where I'm at in the you know, United States, right? But if I had a time or a moment that I was out and really saw something like that.
Like the time we were in Daniel Boone National Forest and we got lost.
Right. But
that would have been
if we would have seen a Sasquatch, that would have been a perfect moment for it. But I'm just saying, you can tell when people have had that moment.
Yeah.
Where again, like this guy, like even if he wouldn't have quit his job, but if it's still a police officer that for years was like, I saw Sasquatch. You're a police officer, you got some credibility to you. It's hope, right? Like, just being in that role and having that admission, but being in that role, having that encounter and going, yeah, I'm good. I'm done now. Like that speaks so much. It's again, it kind of goes back to how do you vet somebody's story when they're talking to you? And again, it's this little 80-year-old woman. Why would she lie? And there's this process that we do internally, even if there's not a checklist that we're kind of like keeping track of. Does the story make sense? Does it shake out? It's kind of using that intuition versus, well, the learned scholars will tell you that they don't exist. Well, that's great. They wrote the books though. Maybe they wrote bad books. Maybe they got bad information. Maybe they don't have all the information, right? So
yeah. So the one the old lady saw, she's a good friend. She finally passed, and I still know her family. And they were walking through the woods as kids down towards Georgetown, and they walked up on this old shed out in the woods, and it was abandoned, and the door was partially open. It had been open for years, and lo and behold, what's leaning up against the door with its elbow on the top was this big, hairy black guy.
Whoa.
And turned around and looked at him, and they decided they weren't going to stay, so they backed out the same way they came in. They didn't take their eyes off this thing.
Wow.
And she said they never went back in that woods, but she said it was a Sasquatch. It's just a big guy. He's probably 9-10 foot tall.
That's huge.
And but he was leaning on the top of the door. How big is a door? It's 7 foot, right?
God. I mean, that'd be like you leaning against, like one of those, like that table we have over there in the corner, like a cocktail table.
Yeah.
And you're just kind of leaning up against, and
she was a
crazy.
lady that, why would she lie to me? She's an English teacher, for God's sakes.
Yeah.
But she just told me that story, and I asked her brother about it, and he says, I don't want to talk about it. He's still alive. He's like in his late 80s.
Doesn't want to talk about it.
No, he don't want to talk about it.
Wow.
So,
why?
I don't know. I think they're just surprised that she said something. But
I guess, okay, if she's saying it and he just says, I don't want to talk about it, well, okay, we got confirmation from you already that it happened.
Yeah. You never know.
Unless it's going to wreck his career or something.
No, he's a retired insurance guy. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's well-to-do. He doesn't have anything to...
Okay, so even if we don't know his story, what do you think in that instance of somebody, in his case maybe, just hypothesize here, what makes you not want to share that? Is it because talking about it makes it real to you and maybe it's something you don't want to remember?
Yeah, that's
A
it
lot of
right
it, I
there.
think so.
You
know?
don't want to relive that experience, even though it happened when he was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
The trauma of it, sure.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sure it would be, I would freak out.
Well, yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
If I saw any random person in the woods when I was a kid, that would have been enough. Like if I would walk out in the woods and you were out there when I was a kid, I'd be like freaked out. I don't know this guy. Who is this? I'd probably go running. Or I might talk your ear off as a kid too, so it might be bad
I
for
would
you.
have done the latter.
But if we go out in the woods as kids, Mikey, and we see a creature that's 9-10 feet tall leaning on the,
You're running home. You're running home. Or you're just in shock and you're going to sit there and just stare at it. Maybe that's who knows how you would react.
Yeah. Now, the only other thing at Serpent Mound,
blown my mind.
Below that, we had a couple in the shop back, it's been several years ago, and they'd never been to the underwater serpent.
Okay.
And so these two ladies went down there, and the one's walking along the pathway, and, it's like an old growth forest. And she just stops and turns around to her friend. She says, take a picture. And she took a picture. And standing next to her in that picture is something about 8 foot tall. All you can see is the outline of it and two eyes.
Wow.
She said, I felt something, but I couldn't tell what it was. That's why I had my friend take a picture.
You've seen this picture?
Oh, yeah.
Because it was lumbering over her. It wasn't like
it was right next to her. It looks like it just blends in with the trees.
I would love to see
that's
that.
the thing. They're so camouflaged.
Yeah.
Do you think they have a cloaking mechanism?
Yeah.
Integumentary system, something like that, where it's just...
I think if you're going
They're interdimensional, yeah.
It's like Native Americans, shape-shifting. It's the same concept.
I think so.
You think so?
Yeah.
Like skinwalker type
Exactly.
You
stuff.
think Sasquatch and skinwalkers are closely related?
Why not?
Where they share abilities in some way? Or
I think if you were interdimensional, could you imagine what you could see?
But you're not saying Sasquatch are skinwalkers.
No. Whatever skinwalker is, it's just another interdimensional being, I think.
Kind of like the John Keel super spectrum, the windows.
that?
Kind of like the whole thought that Sasquatch has always been here, skinwalkers, if they've
This
always
theory
been
on
here.
Mothman.
But it's more like they can kind of come in and out of our
race. Right.
Well, and even in
here's the
ufology, they're starting to talk about this now with orbs and UFOs, and that they actually materialize.
Yeah.
Like these orbs are real and they are material here, but they dissipate because they're not supposed to be here. And when they come over here to kind of take that form, that's why they're not here for long, or they're, they do what they're doing and then they're gone. But there's almost kind of this kind of like us going into water and holding our breath. We can only do it for so long, and it's not our natural medium. We have to get out.
Yeah. Like they're breaking some rule by being here. Yeah.
It's just being able to kind of cross over that wavelength spectrum a little bit, and now they're in our reality, and now they're gone. And they're here and they're gone. Like Sasquatch, here and it's gone,
Why don't we have one,
Yeah.
I mean, I think you're on the right track with that. It's just, it's hard for most people to even think of Sasquatch as a real thing.
Exactly.
But then to go further that's where it kind of loses people, I think, is it gets to be so much where they go, come on, it's enough already that Sasquatch even, but now he's an interdimensional and he's on UFOs, and it's like, but it's like,
what? It would explain a lot. It would explain a lot.
UFOs, how do they travel?
Well, we were talking about
coming out.
The orbs dissipating through people's bodies, and then all of a sudden they get like tons of tumors, and it's radiation sickness and stuff like that. And then we covered a story about this Ronnie Akers down in Brazil. It's the Ronnie Vernay, it's the Aker UFO case. And this is like when the face peelers, that whole story came out last year about the face peelers down in Brazil. We tracked a face peeler story all the way back to like 2012 through 2014. where these villages, indigenous villages in Brazil, it was written up in multiple 100-page document. The federal government and all these people were investigating this because these things were shining lights down. One woman had a miscarriage, and they had signs of radiation sickness, things going on with their fingernails.
Wow.
And, you know, these beams of light would come down. The next thing you know, somebody would be sick or have a miscarriage. And this was happening like pretty frequently. So again, they had video, which is, you know, when you look at these videos, it's like a pinprick of light and all black. So when most UFO videos, it's so far away, but you would see it kind of blinking in and out of existence and kind of being here and then being there. But, you know, Sasquatch Interdimensional is a fun one for me because
I think
here's the thing. It explains a lot.
It does. Why don't you have one? Because they can go in between dimensions.
And they do leave.
I would do it if
and
I
they
could.
do leave footprints.
I think they're physical.
Show me how.
In form. I think they are physical beings. But you know, maybe there's some kind of
They may
it's a
not
tough
even be from here.
Yeah.
Right? Talking to it, just off track, but I know a shaman. The only shaman I know is Willaroo, and he's an Inca shaman. He's from Peru. But he travels out in the universe, and he goes and gets, how would you say? He gets recipes for healing. And there's different stations in the universe where you can go to get information how to heal people. And so I said, well, I mean, if you get stuck out there, what happens if you can't get back? He says, you can always get back because your soul is here. Your heart's beating here. So you'll always come back to your body, regardless of what happens out there.
Right.
Wow.
Well, what's Sasquatch doing? They may be on another planet. They could be in another star system and coming here and exploring and interacting. But yet you're never going to catch one, because if that's true about what the shaman says, you're always going to go back to where your heart's beating, where you're alive, and where you're grounded.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
But so that's the whole thing. So you think they're just projecting here? They're not actually coming here physically?
I think there's physical.
Well, there are physical ones here.
I think
they're being seen.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
How well is that cloaking going on, you know?
Yeah.
How long are they visiting? It's like us going to another planet. I mean,
I think it's also hard too, because it's like think of Sasquatch and like gorillas and apes and this and that. And we're like, so we're making this an interdimensional. Like, again, it seems like people that resist the thought in general of Sasquatch, and then you put it to the next step of, well, they go, how did we make this jump? And again, I don't know how to like square that. Because it is such wild data or like anecdotes or stories, but you have people, even Bruce Maccabee, I think he was a physicist or some kind of high regarded scientist here. His wife had that picture that she took where she was like, yeah, I saw a cloaked predator style, etc., something.
Lima.
And I mean, he analyzed the footage and the film and was like, yeah, like this doesn't make any sense. So there's just so many eyewitness accounts time and time again of these wild events where I'm like, when do we get to a tipping point? When does it stop being on just the edge of the dinner plate and it gets actually right in the center where I can take a bite out of it? Because
when you have enough people sitting at the table willing to eat.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's where we are right now.
Yeah.
Getting close.
More and more people are opening up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're hearing all these more and more conversations, just like what we're doing.
Right.
And it's just going to, someone else is sitting there on the couch saying, you know, I need to talk about what I saw.
That's the hope.
And that's where it's going. I see it.
Yeah.
Well,
It's interesting to have professionals come into your shop and say, you know, you wouldn't believe what I saw. And if I told anybody else, they'd say I was crazy. And usually it's about UFOs, but now I'm getting this Sasquatch thing, and it's going like, cool. If I didn't have a Sasquatch next to the shop, I would be having these conversations.
That's so cool. That
homing
carving,
beacon.
yeah,
that
carving became an giant beacon.
So it's safe to say you get a variety of stories through the shop. So you just said you get some Sasquatch stories now, and probably even before you had the statue or the carving up. But So ufology stories as well, UFO encounters or sightings or
Everything. Yeah,
everything.
I'm open to all of it. I want to hear it.
Yeah.
Share. Tell me something interesting.
Yeah. Oh, no, I get that. I'm saying you are actually getting these stories, though. People are coming and going, you wouldn't believe what I would see, XYZ.
I'd like to do a book about it.
I think that'd be a great
the
idea.
anomalies of Serpent Mound and the crater. And I
Yes.
think a lot of it has to do with that crater. The magnetics there. It's opening up. It's making the veils less. It's making them thinner. And it's not at 4 o'clock in the morning like when veils are supposed to get thin. It's happening all the time.
That's interesting. Do you think that's been since it became a crater and all of that occurred? Probably wasn't happening before.
Well, I mean, it's been a crater for 300 and
Right.
some odd million years.
Right. But that was the activation, was that impact crater happening and changing kind of the.
It changed the landscape, yeah.
Right.
It made it a vortex, if you will, or a portal. And, when you hear the dentist saying, do you know where the portal is at Serpent Mound? I go, no, I don't. But could you tell me? I want to know.
It might
wanna
be
go
just
there.
everywhere, though.
Yeah.
It might just be kind of all over.
Well, the way the energy is there, yeah.
Yeah.
The way it affects everything. And that's,
In
and more,
Sedona, they're everywhere.
I'm
Those
seeing more and
vortexes.
more of that. People's car batteries going dead and door locks locking, and it's still going on. So that
More of that happens.
yeah, and that's not stopping.
Yeah.
It's not just a one lone incident. It's like periodically it's somebody saying, you know what, my car battery died up there at Serpent Mound or down the road, but it's always in the crater.
Right. Now, are you also just unique that you kind of have all this, or is it just kind of that you're the outpost, you have the rock shop, people kind of matriculate in through there, and so it's kind of got this
Yeah.
own energy to it that it just keeps driving it along? But do you know other people in the area that have as much strange stuff occur to them that happens to you? Because I
They're
know
not
you have a
talking
ton of
about it.
stuff.
Yeah.
They're not talking
They're
about
not
it.
talking about it.
Yeah.
So, and it's not, I mean, it's not a daily thing, but it's pretty regular. It's enough to make you take notice and say, what the heck is going on here?
Yeah.
But the Sasquatch thing is all around that area. It's not just in the crater.
Right.
So this thing in the crater is relatively in the last few years. And it's
You
like,
think they're moving towards the crater?
no, I think they've always been there. I think it's all in the spirit realms. You get people that go up to Serpent Mound and they see spirits. They say there's millions of spirits up there, not just one or two. They're everywhere. And the only experience I had with spirits at Serpent Mound was freaked me out. I used to carve pipes for the Ark of the Appalachia. The guy that ran it, Larry Henry, he eventually got banned from the group.
Okay.
And but they're a big group that's doing a green belt around that area, building up all kinds of land, old growth forest, things like that.
Nice.
But he had me carving pipes for him. He did a whole collection of all the effigy pipes that were found at the Tremper Mound. Now, if you're familiar with those, but the Hopewells were big at that, and they had all these little animals on pipes,
Oh,
Yep.
neat.
raccoons and hawks and owls and all that. Well, I did one for him as a screech owl. And the screech owl has turned his head completely around looking in the opposite direction. And the whole pipe was maybe 2 inches high and 3 inches long, an inch wide. And I carved this little screech owl on this bowl, and I gave it to Larry, and he brought it back. He opened it up at Serpent Mound. He brought it back to me, split in half, perfectly split in half. Right down the nose of the owl, all the way down the length of the pipe, just split. It just fell apart. And I said, this is perfectly good pipestone. I don't know why that would happen. He says, carve me another one. I said, all right, I'll do that. Winter solstice, the last time Larry was there, the last time we had it was the lighting of the serpent before they stopped it. I carved this screech owl pipe and I took it up to him, and it was nighttime and he was up there in the office. I took it out of my pocket and I had it in a little towel and I unwrapped it. And I says, how's that look, Larry? And the damn thing cracked in half the same way the other one did.
What?
Yes. I'm going like, well, I guess they don't like owls up there for some reason.
Wow.
Weird.
Yeah. So that's the only thing that's really I took notice on. I said, and he paid for both of them. but he got to
Yeah.
witness it. And I've seen other, like we did pipestone carvings with serpents on them, the Ohio pipestone. And every once in a while, somebody say, Mike, it exploded on me. You know, they had it on their neck. And what it is, it's energy.
Yeah.
It's like the way Terry explains it.
Yeah.
These things, they'll take a hit. So there's bad energy. Sometimes like a crystal will just chip for no reason.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, quartz especially. And you say, well, it took a hit. I've seen that happen. And that's
Interesting.
That's really weird.
Interesting.
And quartz has something to do, it has an energy all its own.
Mm-hmm.
And I watched an amethyst crystal blow apart from anger. And we
Okay, whoa, wait, what? Wait, what?
We were at a conference in Blythe, Arizona.
Okay.
If you know about Blythe.
No.
But let me get this.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. I need to grab myself a water. Set that window.
Blythe, Arizona is the birthplace of the Aztec civilization.
Okay.
Everybody thinks they're down south. Well, it started at the Colorado River and Arizona and California, where the river goes through. And there in the desert floor of what we call the Mojave or the Sonora Desert are over 300 geoglyphs,
Okay.
like Nazca, Peru.
Sure.
The biggest one is 300 foot high. It's a Cocopelli. So we're down there doing this conference. It's a peace gathering. And all these different tribal people there. We're having a great time at the fairgrounds. And this guy come in, and this girl had a booth next to me. And she was just the sweetest little thing. And she had amethyst crystals and quartz and all different kinds of crystals she was selling. And this was after hours. And there was a ceremony going on. They were having some kind of dance with the Aztec dancers. And this guy comes in and just starts getting on this girl's case. And I don't know if he was trying to pick her up or hit on her or what, but he was being really belligerent. And you could just feel his energy. And as it's building, this amethyst crystal on her table, boom, just blew apart.
Damn.
And that's when Terry stood up and said, okay, that's enough. You got to go. You got to leave. Because his energy was so intense, it affected that crystal and just...
That's like literally like Ghostbusters with the slime and the energy slime and the negative emotions make the toaster jump and all this stuff. And that's the first thing I thought of was the psychokinetic power.
It's
like
affecting Janosch.
Yeah.
Remember when Janosch gets possessed by the painting in Ghostbusters 2?
What they call it, like a psychomagnetheric slime or something. I mean, but it's interesting because, again, it kind of goes back to with the orbs coming in and out and, being here and taking up a physical... these minerals and these, I don't know what to call them sometimes, gems, minerals, composites. What's the actual mechanism of the transfer of the energy into that?
They have a piezoelectrical charge, quartz does.
From a person, though, how would he or...
We have energy.
I get that, but I'm just saying.
Our conscious, that's the thing. It's so powerful that it's like that crater, like Serpent Mound. What is it? It's where you project your consciousness and leave intentions.
Yeah.
And it works.
Yeah.
And, we could go into that too, but
we should, yeah.
Apparently, that guy was projecting something that was not good.
Mm-hmm.
And it was being received by that crystal as negative.
Yeah.
And it just, boom,
That's
blew apart.
That's wild. I've never heard of that. That's really wild. That's
we had
cool.
a conversation, Terry and I, when I learned about crystals and how they can take a hit. And I thought, that's kind of weird. We had a big Lemurian crystal on our coffee table in the room. And it was a T-shaped. It had like a twin. It had another one coming off of it. And we got this phone call from somebody that was really upset. And they were threatening us. We get threats occasionally. We get them, sad but true. But this threat, they were threatening our livelihood. And when Terry hung up that phone, that crystal jumped off the table and all over the floor. And this was a big crystal. No reason for that crystal to break, but it did. And it broke right in half. And she said, well, it took a hit.
Wow.
And that was it for that because we never heard from that guy again. But when you see that, you go like, oh, man.
Right.
Yeah. You can't make it up.
I think I know who you're talking about, by the way.
Oh,
Yeah.
I think so too. Just because I've heard enough
we all
about
know
it.
this guy.
Too funny, man. That's wild. It's really wild. But what were you saying about projecting from Serpent Mound? Can we talk more about that?
Intentions.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, when you canvass people, the public that come in to the store, you're like, why are you here? And sometimes you get I don't know why I'm here. But I said, well, what's happening in your life? And it's usually something cataclysmic in your life. It's either a divorce, it's a disease, it's a death. There's something that's changing your direction. And so you come to Serpent Mound, and what is Serpent Mound? What's the meaning of it? It's about restart.
Yes.
It's rebirth.
Mm-hmm.
It only happens on June 21st, but I think it happens all the time.
Yeah.
And people are basically called there because of the energy. And they're going up there and they're praying. They're giving intentions. I've given intentions and like that, they happen.
I've experienced it myself.
And I've been told by elders.
How did I make my way out there?
Don't
I grew up in a little tiny town. And,
don't abuse it, but honor it.
Yeah.
And it's like I haven't had to use it in a long time, but in my earlier days there, I did. I had some big problems, and the only way I could do it was give an intention, and then, bam, it happens. It's like magic. It's like, what the hell? Who's listening?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, if you think about the power of the mind and the consciousness, it travels faster than light speed. You can go all the way across the universe.
Yeah.
And so this whole thing with interdimensional stuff, don't surprise me. I think it's all very plausible.
I mean, I started going there really more heavily after my mom passed away. And that's when I really started. That's when I was still in school. My daughter was very young, but I was kind of like, didn't have a lot going on positive. And that's when I really started going out there. And like you said, you put an intention out there. And, we participated in a few of, before I even knew you, a few of those when you guys used to be able to have the elders out there.
You got connected.
Yes. And after that one where we did a hole and you guys had the, I want to say the Maori were out there that time.
I think they're coming in the spring.
Are they?
Yeah.
Gosh, that was powerful. But you had guys playing flute and drumming, and me and Ro were just like literally the caboose of the whole pilgrimage. And we walked around, I think it was 3 times. And then it just started pouring rain. I mean, came out of nowhere. It was the weirdest thing. Next thing you know, everybody's right when it ends and the music and everything, boom, starts pouring. Everybody starts running to their car because it was coming down. And, I can look back at like, that was a big shift point for me and like just my whole direction. And we've gone back so many times and, just try to, I don't know. I've always felt like if something's not going in the right direction, I go out there and then it seems
restart.
It really does.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to explain, but it's understandable given where the location of it and with the magnetics. And if it's affecting you, it's affecting electronic devices.
Yeah.
That happens all the time. And you go like, there's an energy here. I can't put my finger on it, but I can witness what's happening. And it makes a believer out of you.
Yeah.
And I've seen one instance of shape-shifting out there. And
What?
It's unnerving.
What?
I would imagine.
Yeah.
Can we get into that?
It was with Chief Golden Light Eagle. And we were out there for the spring equinox before he passed.
Okay.
And it was really cold that spring morning. We're watching the sunrise when you could do that, right? And we're all standing in a group there. And we were the last 2. Everybody left. There was like maybe 20 of us standing there praying and watching this. And everybody left. And Chief was saying, he says, I'll race you back to the car. And I says, fine. I said, you go that way and I'm going this way. So God forbid, I ran over top of the Serpent and got on that pathway and walked as quick as I could up to the car. And he went up the other way around the tail. Okay. I get up to the car, right? And he's sitting in the car. Get this. The heater is blasting away, and his cigarette is half smoked. And he rolls down his window and says, "Where you been?" I walked up there as fast as I could.
Did he run?
Oh, well, here's the deal. He didn't have a cigarette when he left. He was sitting in his car smoking a half-gone cigarette.
What if he ripped it in half?
Well, I don't know. But the thing is, the car was running and the heater was on and it was warm.
Yeah, it should take a little time.
And this all happened in a minute, a couple minutes. How did this happen? It's like he just took time and went.
So you think he interdimensionally traveled?
Yeah.
Not shapeshifted.
Well, he did something.
What do you mean?
I mean, it's obviously he did something he did something with the dimensions that I can't do. He got there and was there for a while before I got there, and it was only a few minutes to walk across and up, and I was cold, And I got in the car. I didn't even question it. I got in his car and got warm. And he's sitting in there smoking a cigarette like, yeah, I've been here for half an hour type of thing.
That's weird.
But he had just left me. So how does this work?
That's bizarre.
That's really
That's one of the wildest stories I've ever heard.
And, yeah, and that's the only time that's ever happened. And then, of course, we've got in conversations about shooting spirit animals because he's a hunter and I'm a hunter.
Shooting spirit animals.
I'm a hunter.
Oh, shooting spirit animals. Sorry, I put
actually
it together
putting
now.
a bullet in one or an arrow in one and then not retrieving it because they disappear.
Say, whoa, stop. What?
Yeah.
Stop. What? I missed that. What'd you just say?
I didn't know who to talk to about this.
Oh, right here.
But I figured, Chief's the guy, right?
Yeah.
And maybe you can explain it to me, Chief. I said, I'm up in a tree. Well, first time it happened was in Michigan, and I'm just a kid, and I'm deer hunting up there on this property we had up by Alpena. And this big old doe comes walking through the snow. She wasn't from here to the wall, maybe 20 feet max. And I got this rifle. I had a 30-30 Winchester, and I emptied my gun on that deer, and I'm a good shot. And that deer did not flinch. It did not miss a step. The first shot of 30-30 had been on his ground, flopping around, right?
Right.
And this deer just kept on walking. And I emptied my gun on it.
So while you're shooting these bullets, did you see them hit the deer?
No.
Where did they hit behind it?
I don't know where the heck they went. But I went over there to where that deer walked through, and there was no tracks in the snow. There was nothing. Nothing. But that deer was there, and it walked right on through. And that snow was, probably a foot deep.
Not deer.
So that was
deer
that was the first instance. The second instance, I was in a tree in Ohio, not far from Serpent Mound, and it's gigantic buck. I mean, like the biggest
Quick
buck.
question. Do you have diabetes or suffer from low blood sugar?
No.
And if maybe you're up in this tree blind for too long, you need a snack, and you're getting delirious, and you're seeing these mythical...
I was up in a cedar tree.
Question. I got to figure out...
I always hunt out of a cedar tree.
Okay.
Because if you fall asleep and fall, you got lots of branches to break your fall as you're going down, right?
Okay.
So I'm in this tree, and it's evening, and I hear this clink, clink across the creek. The rocks are moving. I look down, and here's this gigantic buck. I mean, it was like this monster. Walks right under my tree. And 5 yards from the base of the tree, I draw back and let him have it. And I watched that arrow, and it went right through that deer.
Let him have it.
And that deer just kept right on walking like nothing ever happened. And it walked right up this logging road. And I says, what the hell? And I got down. There was no blood. There was no footprints. And my arrow was gone. And I went back with a metal detector looking for that arrow. No arrow. He took my arrow. But he disappeared. No buck.
Are you hearing this?
Yeah.
Dude.
So I'm explaining this to Chief.
I've never
right?
heard stories like this.
I know, and I'm explaining this to Chief, and he says, you've had encounters with spirit animals. And I said, what's a spirit animal? He says, well, it's real, but it's in another dimension. And it shows itself to you. And it will take your bullet. and it will take anything you throw at it with it when it goes.
Wow.
And so he told me his experiences with spirit animals. And if I didn't tell him that, he would have never told me his story.
Right. 100%.
That's the way it works.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And so he told me this one about this giant buck out west. And he was hunting from his car, like a lot of natives do. And he had his gun, and he pulls back the trigger and the hammer, and he goes, and the bullet went click, right?
Wouldn't fire.
He did that 3 times on the same bullet. It wouldn't fire. He said, this big deer standing out there antagonizing him, right? Come on, go ahead and shoot me type thing.
Make my day.
It's like a trophy deer. So he leaves. He goes down the road, and he cocks his gun. Bam. He says that deer kept him from shooting.
Wow.
So then you go, all right, what the heck? So they can mess with you. That's the only gist I got out of it. I've heard stories about people at Serpent Mound seeing people with owls on their shoulders, and then they turn around and they're gone. I mean, spirit animals.
Wait. Okay. The person's gone or just the owl's gone?
The owl.
But the person's there.
Person's still there.
Now, does the person with the owl on them know they had the owl on them?
No. This is like you see somebody.
Like you'd see me walking and go, hey, Justin, you had an owl on you.
You got a big owl on your shoulder, right? And then it's gone. It's like, and when people see spirit animals, they usually discount it. My first spirit animal that I shot at in Michigan, I didn't forget about it, but I discounted it. I just said, nah. You know,
What you just thought maybe you missed?
maybe I just got a little too cold out
Until
there.
you met Chief and started talking to him.
And then when I started talking to Chief about it, then he put it all
sense.
together.
Yeah.
He says these things are here in spirit. And that's why when you work with Native Americans, they'll always ask you, what's your spirit animal?
How do you know?
You just know. Apparently, whatever you resonate with is your spirit animal.
I mean, I love armadillos.
I mean, well, maybe that's your spirit animal, you know?
They are cool. I've never heard stories like this. I'm kind of like speechless.
I didn't either until I met some Native Americans that I could sit down and actually talk to.
Yeah.
And they had some wisdom to share.
Yeah.
But they won't share it with you unless you've got something to share with them.
Yeah.
Sure. And it's a reciprocal.
It's not something you talk about lightly.
No.
And like just what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
I mean, people are going to go, that guy is nuts. But I don't care what they think. I know what I saw.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I've not cared for my entire life. But I also think that's why I'm more interested in things because
We appreciate you sharing this stuff
Yeah.
because
And the whole thing
Hey.
is, you know, it's the interdimensional stuff. And why not? There's got to be a whole nother world out there running parallel.
What?
And all kinds of things going on.
theoretically there's infinite possibilities of the same thing happening right
Terry's
now.
tapped in.
She is tapped
Terry
in.
knows how to help people when they need help. Without her even realizing they need help.
Yep,
All of a sudden, she is the person that will step in
like a conduit.
and make a connection
Yeah.
that somebody needs to meet this person. She's
Interesting.
very tapped in.
I'm fascinated by Serpent Mound's energy and what's
Yeah, and
happening.
it's just the things that Terry does is it's amazing. It really is. The first time I went with a group was at Sunwatch Village, and she was singing
That's
there.
a cool place.
And she was singing on stage. She come down. She goes, "Did you know you had a big, about a 10-foot spirit standing next to you the whole time I was singing?" And then it took off. And I said, "What do you mean?" She goes, "Yeah, it was there." And I says, "How do you know this stuff?" She goes, "You don't want to know. You don't want to know what I see." She sees a lot of spirits, and I think that's how she connects with people.
Yep.
And she just feels, you know, what they're going through.
Yeah.
And she'll say something to them, and the next thing you know, they're in this conversation.
Yeah.
And it's just weird the way it happens, but she's tapped in
For sure.
Once you tune into it and you keep paying attention, it gets easier though, right?
Well, I think so. Yeah. I think if you can work on that, I think like Native Americans, let's think about how they're raised, you know, and what they're learning and what they're, you know, let's say you're not supposed to see something and your mom and dad say you didn't see that. Okay. Okay, well, I didn't see it. I discount it. But in reality, it actually happened.
Mm-hmm.
And with Native Americans and the way a lot of indigenous people are raised, they're raised to open up and see this stuff and
Right.
recognize it and acknowledge it. And that's something that we're dumbed down on.
Right.
We have to be totally reprogrammed.
Yeah.
We want to see a lot of this.
Yeah. You get these filters kind of placed over you of, oh, that's not real, or believe this way.
It
and
took
by the
me
time
years to open up,
Yeah.
to be able to, be more tapped in. I mean, it was, it was work. And then once I started tapping in, things kind of, the synchronicities, the weird occurrences, the people that we would meet on gigs out of nowhere, or, running into meeting people like you or even Bowser, like, yeah, I mean, if you're just closed down and you're not going out and going to places like that, number one, and, you're kind of on your phone all the time, or, you work.
Major distraction.
Yeah.
It is.
But you're
Wi-Fi,
hustling. You
all
got
this
to work.
stuff.
You got to work. People work 40, 50, 60, 70 hours a week, and they're just grinding out.
Yeah.
By the time they get home, it's like to watch something interesting on, it's just, they don't even have it in them.
I call it drinking the Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're being fed this whole line, And I've got nothing against what's going on, but it's nice to see the other side of it and live it and learn from it. And I can't wait, until I can actually do it. I want to go someplace else
Yeah.
and
You
be
think
here.
that's possible?
Yeah, why not? I think your mind is capable of anything. It's just a matter of utilizing, how to figure out how to do that,
Yeah.
How do you do it? So.
Yeah.
And a lot of people go on these spirit quests. They'll go out and they'll learn different things while they're sitting on the hill meditating for days and
Yeah.
starving and whatever.
That'll do it.
Yeah.
That'll get you on
It will.
a
Look at
quest
Graham
real
Hancock
quick.
with this ayahuasca,
Yeah.
He's seeing the other side. He's seeing things that normal people wouldn't see. And so he's learning from it, and he's learning that there's other civilizations out there.
Yeah.
And it's just amazing what he's coming up with. And then you see what happens at Serpent Mound. We're going to block you. You can't say that here.
I think that's still my
Part of it, I think, why people hate him so much is because all the spiritual stuff he does talk about.
Yeah.
People didn't hate him until he started talking about his ayahuasca journeys and the spiritual nature of the universe and consciousness. That's when people started really hating on him. And he was getting written up by, all these media outlets. And
You're not supposed to talk about that.
he's a journalist. He's allowed to talk about whatever and write about whatever he wants.
Yeah, and he's doing fine.
He used to cover the war. That he was a war correspondent for,
is that right?
for the BBC.
Wow.
So he had a lot of trauma experiencing. I think a lot of those ayahuasca journeys were about a lot of that stuff that he was soaking in as a war correspondent. And then he was in Ethiopia and found out that there was a group of people, these ancient Christians that were living in Ethiopia, and they said they had the Holy Grail. And so he went, while he was covering a story in Ethiopia, he went there, and there they are sitting in this church still to this day. They have guards at this church that's carved out of the bedrock downwards.
Okay. Yeah, I think I remember seeing
And
that.
he visited that place and just got hooked on the Grail story, and then it kind of just all went from there. But yeah, he was serious journalist.
Wow.
And like that never gets taken into account. He's just the kooky guy that's running around talking about civilizations
And then
that
he
don't.
stumbled onto something else that didn't make sense, and the next thing you know, he's following it. And
Yeah,
that's what we're doing. Yeah.
100%. And the story
Strange
that,
road you're on.
yeah.
it's a strange.
Well, you get fed a
road.
story.
And you've had a strange road, buddy. You've been on a,
But I love it, what's next? I'm ready.
and that's where we're at. We just want to keep meeting more people, having people on, and even to be able to do. One of the reasons why I wanted to have you on and chat again is to do a follow-up from, the Serpent Mound Impact Crater Tour video we did with you is just absolutely blowing up right now. The last 7 days, it's been crazy. I was out at Lost Lands working this big festival, and Bub's blown me up
It's not stopping.
So, all the people that found the strange road through that video and found your rock shop, like the symbiotic relationship of, being able to do this and have people come to your rock shop and be able to, meet you and
Just
actually
share.
talk to you and
Yeah.
share all these stories.
Yeah.
And so we're super stoked that we're able to, have this relationship with you and
Well,
Terry
hey,
and your whole group. And
I'm glad you're helping
Everybody.
to promote it. And,
Yeah.
yeah, it's welcome.
it's the whole
the cool
goal.
part is like most of the time, whatever comes across that screen is a lot of smoke and mirrors. And from that, excerpt, it's even more than that, right? So when you go there and you actually see the mound or you get down into the crater,
It's reality.
so
But I don't think
it's not
people
all
expect
dressed
to go to the
up.
rock shop
it's
and
even
actually
better.
see you and actually talk to you.
Yeah.
And they actually get to meet Tom. They find
yes.
their way and they show up and like Tom's there
Yeah.
in
I mean,
the
it's
rock
in the
shop.
description that that's what he does is run a rock shop.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what do they
No, I think
they
it's
think we're
just
faking them?
It's just an extra bonus for him.
No, they're just surprised. Like, oh,
Yeah.
Tom's actually here. They're stoked beyond all recognition.
It's good. It's good. I like it. Yeah.
Didn't you have some ladies asking you for autographs or something?
That happens
Well-
all the time. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Would you sign that?
Yes.
Just anywhere. Just sign something.
Oh,
That's
man.
awesome.
Autograph
That's awesome.
collectors or whatever,
That's fantastic.
Yeah. And I saw my little Trilobite book there too. So
That's so cool. And also just how many people are getting their eyes open to something different, or if that's kind of like they didn't know that was an availability. They didn't know your shop was down there. They're into,
right.
it's just connecting those spokes of the wheel.
No Men in Black yet.
I'll tell you, if
Unfortunately.
you get a Men in Black story, I want to hear that
Come on,
immediately.
Yeah, we'll
Has
come
not
down.
happened.
Do you have anybody with? Do you have you ever heard of anybody that?
Other
They've
than
had
the Roswell stuff that we know, and then I get a visit from some guy that lives around there that protected or guarded Project Blue Book at Wright-Patterson. And he comes down and corresponds with me occasionally.
Still,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
he talks about working at
He talks about rocks. No. If you ask him about work, he falls asleep. He's been trained not to say anything.
Wow.
It's like an off switch.
What?
Yeah. That's a whole nother story.
Interesting.
Well, my uncle was chief of police at Roswell during that incident.
We
okay?
talked about this.
All right. And,
Did we
and
talk about
I
this?
thought,
Probably,
or
and-
maybe privately, you told me the story.
Your
I don't
uncle was the
remember.
chief of police during the Roswell
Yeah.
incident?
Yeah.
Of 47.
Yeah.
Okay.
He retired in 72, right after I was drafted. And he had to have been sworn to secrecy because he never told me anything about it. But every time I talk about art, his name is Art Brocious. Every time I talk about art and the Roswell incident, Dave shows up at my doorstep the next day. This happened like 8 times in a row over a period of years. And I swear to God, after you air this, Dave is going to be knocking on my door. And I call it mild intimidation.
Wow.
Go figure.
Wait, what?
And he comes and he talks about rocks. He don't know flip about rocks. So I'm kind of training him, right? It's really hard of hearing. But when he first showed up, Terry started questioning him. You know how Terry is.
Oh, yeah.
She's going to interrogate this
Oh,
guy.
yeah.
And here's this old guy. He's in his 80s. His name is Dave. And he's sitting there in the chair. I walked in the shop, and she had him sitting in the chair in the middle of the room. And she was asking him questions about not Roswell, but Project Blue Book. Because he said, I've sat there and read all this stuff in Blue Book. And there's a few things in there he didn't quite understand. He's a very intelligent guy. He's into physics and all that. And Terry said, well, you tell me about this. And when that happened, he went to sleep. A few minutes later, he woke up. He's on a whole different page. Start over. So we figured that whatever he did there for the government at Wright Pat, he was programmed not to say anything. And if he did, he would automatically shut down. And you could be trained to do that. You could
Speechless
be
again. I don't
hypnotized.
know
Oh
what to
yeah,
say
you
again.
could easily hypnotize
And
someone.
there he is walking proof, And this guy still comes and visits me occasionally.
He's basically getting like the keyword, like in the Winter Soldier, like all the Marvel storylines
trigger.
with Captain Marvel, and they say like 10 words in a row, and then the Winter Soldier just goes nuts and starts hunting people down.
Yeah. Well, I think that's true. I think there's, that intimidation. It's not only from him, but I've had people like from the patent office come in, IRS, and different times, and they'll let you know who they are, but they won't really do anything. They just want to let you know who they are.
Yeah, we know who you are too.
Yeah, we kinda
know who
you
you
got
are.
a patent on this or that, and So we've been working on scanning devices for years with the doctor, and it's about seeing underground through rock. Because I want that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It saved me a lot of time.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so he's been working on this for a long time. And as soon as my name's on the patent, but as soon as that went into effect, here comes the patent office. Hey, we're from the U.S. Patent Office, and we're looking at your rocks. I go like, why are you telling me you're from the patent office, right?
It's one of those, I guess, when you're getting a little too close to like breaking out of the game or the system,
Exactly.
it pulls you back in, or it's got to check on you. Go, are you trying to leave? Are you trying to find a different way? Or you
Yeah.
like, leave me alone? Obviously I am, because you're not providing me what I'm looking for.
Yeah. So who knows what's
Man.
going to happen after this, right?
I mean, geez, man, you get any bigger and more well known, you might have some Men in Black showing up,
Oh, good.
especially after.
Then I'll give him some spring water.
Have you had
Drink my
anybody?
Kool-Aid.
Have you had anybody come in and disagree with you about your
No.
points of view or your
No.
opinions?
In
or-
fact, I saw when I was reading your comments about the video that
Yeah.
you did. There's some negative stuff on there.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Sure. It's going to be.
Yeah, but
That's
no,
the internet.
I had nobody actually confront me.
Nobody came in the store and
see.
went, "How could you know this?"
People
And,
on the internet,
flipping tables or
It's
going out.
easy to have somebody say
Other than
something.
the Amish, saying like, no, this is not 300 million years old. It's only 6,000.
Oh yeah.
Oh, young earthers,
that-
new
yeah.
earthers.
Yeah.
Well,
But boy,
And there are a few flat earthers, but I said, I think I've been traveled around this earth. I know it's round.
flat Earth is a tough one for me.
Yeah, that's I can't.
I
can't get
can entertain a conversation for a little bit about it, but
No.
then I'm like, I'm not so sure about this. But
I think you just need to get out and travel. You'll
what did
find
we
out.
talk about earlier? I said we should get into was the moon landings. I want to know. So you've talked to engineers,
Yeah. Hal Provimere,
that worked on.
Dr. Hal Provimere.
Yeah.
He wrote a book, Tektites Are From the Moon. You know what tektites are, right?
I think you've
Microcrystals.
explained it once before. Yeah.
Glassy objects made by asteroid impacts.
Yep.
It
Okay.
happens on the moon all the time.
Okay.
Some of those objects have been ejected and end up on Earth.
Okay.
Okay. So he designed a rover, him and another guy, I didn't remember his name, but in 96 they showed up at the shop. And I just opened up. I just put a sign out, and boom, these guys were there. And I remembered them because they had, I think I got a book from the guy, Tektites Are From the Moon. And I went ahead and they wanted to know where the impact material was, the Brachia zone. And I already knew where that was. I've been studying John Locke since the 80s and what he did, the first geologist in the United States. And so I took them up there, and they got some of the Brachia material. And they were looking for that minute particle, that PDF, the shock feature on a microscopic quartz crystal. And so, and they told me they were very proud of the fact that they designed a rover that's on the Sea of Tranquility. And if they didn't do that, we wouldn't even have moon rocks. So they got in that rover and they went all over to Sea of Tranquility looking for Brachia to bring back to analyze to figure out what the heck happened in the moon. And it's the same thing went on here on Earth. Every time there's an asteroid impact, that Brachia has that signature that they found on the moon.
Yeah.
So I believe them. You had to go there to get that material to bring it back to analyze it to figure out why it's here on Earth.
You believe we went to the moon?
Yeah, I sure
I do too.
Yeah.
I do too.
I have
I'm
no
still
doubt.
I'm
think
still a
there's-
50-50.
I think there's a lot of weirdness
That adds to me being
around
more.
the moon landing,
Yeah.
and they might have faked some stuff to like the broadcasts, a lot of that stuff, like the technology of how they were able to, send the signals from the moon, have video, the shadows. A lot of it's strange. Like Kubrick's involvement, you start getting down that rabbit hole,
and then you go through the radiation belt,
the Van Allen belts.
Yeah, and actually, people have just done that recently.
Who?
Somebody went up there,
China
spacecraft, and played around in the radiation belt and come back, and they're
did.
Fine. Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense. Apparently, this is supposed to be like a deadly amount of radiation.
You got to wonder,
Why would they tell us there's a deadly belt of radiation?
Right.
So we don't travel beyond it.
I think it's just it's you can perpetrate something. If you say it enough, it's going to become the truth, and it's a narrative, right?
Sure.
And so you put that out there, and it's there you go. You're drinking the Kool-Aid. If you believe that, or if you talk to people that have actually been involved in science, and it's just like the Smithsonian and the giants. Did they destroy all that intentionally? I think a lot of that stuff was put back in the ground because under law they had to.
Yeah. Yep.
And
NAGPRA.
Yeah. Exactly. And that's coming back again. And the people that be at Serpent Mound are under the gun to put their stuff back in the ground, and not only the
all
bones,
the stuff
but the
that's
grave
in
goods too.
All the material that's in all of these European, like, don't they have bones from Serpent Mound that's in Europe and in?
I do, but I don't
different
think
places.
I don't think that's an international law.
Okay.
I think that's just the United States.
Just the United States. But they had stuff at the
British Museum has a bunch of stuff.
At Harvard and other things.
Harvard's got a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So I've heard that I heard they had 7,600 skeletons in their closet, in their drawers. But I recently heard that's over 10,000. But they need to put them back in the ground. And it's until that happens, the Native American community is not going to be happy.
Yeah.
And they don't.
I wouldn't be happy either.
Very few of them go to Serpent Mound, because of the way it's been desecrated.
Yeah.
I think if they opened up and did the right thing and put things back in the ground, all that would come together.
Be a lot of healing there.
Well, I
think
think
a lot of healing.
That place, like you said, with the weird energy, the negative, I think it's just all these ancient sites are out of balance, which is why we have kind of this darkness that looms over Ohio and, Kentucky and West Virginia, where there's always this just kind of weird, dark-ish energy,
Yeah. Grave Creek Mound.
Yeah.
That's a perfect example of dark energy.
Yes.
What's this?
That's where the Mothman was seen.
Well, Grave Creek Mound is in Moundsville, West Virginia. And
it's
there's
the
a prison
largest,
there, right?
Yeah.
Federal penitentiary. And the story is we go on tours there. And you can do the all-night tour where you can see the big, tall, dark people running around, right? Well, they built that prison on an Adena graveyard. And Terry went up there with our group, and we smudged that whole graveyard. And no one ever did that. And we smoked a pipe with the owners of the prison and the Chamber of Commerce, right there in the graveyard, in the center of the prison yard.
Awesome.
In the middle of the night.
They went with you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we invited that whole group of people.
That's awesome.
And just to do a ceremony and say, let's release these spirits and put them at rest.
That's
Look
cool.
what you've done. But all these guards were murdering more people than people that were executed for capital crimes at that prison. The guards were so overtaken by the spirits, by the negativity, that they were going crazy and killing the inmates.
Yep.
And they killed more inmates than the capital punishment did. And eventually they closed the prison down, but now it's haunted.
Yeah.
So
that's where the Mothman was seen.
What a cool place.
Big, huge string of Mothman sightings.
Speaking of
right
which, there was just the Mothman Festival.
Yeah.
And so the Bigfoot guys were down there. The Adams County Bigfoot Patrol was there at the Mothman.
Oh, at the festival.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think they spoke.
Yeah.
But I think they went down there.
Checked it out.
Yeah.
I went last year. It was a blast. I took the whole tour with Mr. E from Cryptids of the Corn, brought me all over the roads and then we went to the TNT area, did some filming down there. Boy, that's a creepy place. That old TNT plant. all those bodies of water out there, you think they're just like little ponds, but it's where they demoed underground and sunk in. And now they're toxic soups of these weird waterways. And so they demoed, they're hiding something out there.
Wow.
That property is mind-bendingly enormous. You could hide anything you wanted. You're walking through at night and there's these giant big cement structures that's the frame of all these buildings that are just eerily everywhere.
They're munitions.
They're like
Forests.
silos, aren't they?
Yeah.
There's those, but then there's like these big frames that don't have walls. And they're so big and bulky of whatever that structure was a part of that those things are still there. Everything else is torn down, but they're so big. They just look like these huge monoliths. It is a dark, dark energy, really strange vibe out there. And all the water is completely toxic. So these lands are just poor. Like they need healing.
Wow.
You know, anything out in that area, you're gonna bring in some dark energy. Tom, one thing we talked about was when I saw you at the eclipse event that you guys did in the spring, and you were talking about some new doppelganger activity that's happened. So the last time you were on the show, episode 11, you talked about your doppelganger story.
Talked about a lot of things.
Talked about a lot of things, but the
And
doppelganger
doppelgangers too.
was one of the more popular topics
Caught me off guard.
of that episode. So
Yeah. I'd only heard tell before. I'd never met anybody who had real stories.
Well, it's this is a new one. It's I have 14 cats, and 5 of them actually go in and out of my room, my bedroom, and the rest of them are outside. But this one cat her name is Ruth. I named it after my mom. And Ruth is one of those cats that she has her own little personality. She doesn't play with the other cats. She just kind of sits around, watches everything, and don't mess with her. It's one of those, don't even pet me, you know, unless I want to be petted.
Yeah.
So she has her own thing. When she comes to my door, instead of a handle on the door like a regular handle, I mean, it's 1800s, right? I have a wire in there like an old coat hanger wire. And she comes up to that door, and all the other cats push the door in. But she'll sit there, and she'll play with that, like tink, 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 back and forth until I answer the door. She's real polite. And so that's fine. I know when Ruth's here because she's tinkling at the door, and I'm going like, okay. So I'm sitting there in bed. It's nighttime, and tink, tink, tink at the door. You know, I said, all right, Ruth's there. Open up the door, and she comes in, and she runs right into the bathroom. And what struck me weird was she didn't say hi. She always does a meow, you know, like acknowledges me. She didn't do anything, but she run right past me into the bathroom. And Terry was in the bathroom. And she goes, hi, Ruth, you know, and she didn't notice anything unusual except Ruth was eating. That's where the food bowl is. And I went back and sat down on the bed. I'm watching TV, you know. And it wasn't 10 minutes went by and tink, tink, tink at the door. I said, well, that's weird. What's that? And I opened it up, and there's Ruth. I said, oh, shit.
Come on.
Yeah. And she said hello, and she walked right into the bathroom, and the other one disappeared. Yeah.
This is like the 5th time I've been speechless. I don't know what the hell to say.
I swear. And it's like now I'm looking at all my animals like they're all spirit animals, you know. What the
doppelganger
heck?
cats.
Doppelganger. So it's happening to the cats, you know.
Well, and funny enough you say that, though, because didn't you say there was another instance that happened in your house where someone came down the stairs and walked out of the house or something and didn't say anything to you?
Oh, yeah.
And then the same person came down and was like, started talking to you, and you're like, I just saw you not long ago. But that's the phenomena associated with doppelgangers in general is the whole, again, if I'm in town here in Columbus or whatever, and I see you driving, I go, hey, Tom, I saw you and this and that, but you wouldn't wave at me, you wouldn't acknowledge me, you wouldn't. It's almost like they're a copy. It's almost like that Matrix thing. Like when you see that doppelganger or like, they think it's deja vu, like they've seen the same cat, but maybe it is the same cat. What do you think? What's the purpose of the doppelganger?
I don't know.
What's
I think it's an energy.
okay?
Since I talked to you guys, I had one instance where I was going to go downstairs and open up my shop.
Okay.
And I was heading out the door, and for whatever reason, I turned around and I said, I forgot to do something. And I went back and I did it. And then I went downstairs. When I got to my shop, my alarm was going off. My doppelganger, my energy went down there and opened the door and set my alarm off.
You think you split at that point?
Yeah. And I went down there and opened up the door and I turned the alarm off.
Now, this is also like some Donnie Darko stuff of like following the path of like what path you're supposed to be on.
Right. And so
Wow.
the last time that happened to me where in other words, my energy was just in front of me and I didn't see it, but I was projecting. And it happened with my son-in-law. And we were going to go dig. And 6 o'clock in the morning, meet me in the hallway. We're going Flint Ridge and we're going to go dig.
Yeah.
And I started to open the door and I closed it for whatever reason. And then I heard Frank open up his door. He's in the bedroom across the way. And I heard him talking. And I opened the door and I said, Frank, who are you talking to? And he looked at me like, oh, shit, you just went downstairs. And then there you are, you know.
My God.
And yeah. And so, but that's
I bet
happened.
he was like, are you pulling a joke on me or
That's
what?
happened. That happened with my carpenter, too. I lost him because of it.
Wait, okay, stop.
Yeah.
Stop. Let's,
He,
in totality, let's
the
get this
bedroom
one.
and the bathroom are joined together, right? And you got a little step down. My carpenter's in the bathroom working on the commode. He was putting a new commode, a new sink. He was redoing my bathroom. And right off the bathroom is a closet with a door, big old cedar closet. And I was sitting on that little stoop watching him work, talking to him, you know. And for whatever reason, I got up and I went into the bedroom and I was doing something. And I heard him talking.
Oh, God.
And I peeked in there and he looked at me and he literally picked up his tools and left. Because I got up and walked into the closet, but I was in the bedroom. And when I poked my head through the bedroom door, knowing that I was in the closet, or he did, and he saw me, that was it. That was the last straw. Because he knew there's weird stuff went on at the house.
Maybe Tom is Calabrimbo.
And
I'm telling you.
And then the other day, my son-in-law gets off work, and he come in the back door, and he heard all these women talking and giggling and having a great time. He's coming from the kitchen, and he got in the kitchen. There was nobody there, so they were having some kind of card game or something in my kitchen. And,
Something weird.
And he's not a believer, but he is now.
Yeah.
And he's seen too many doppelgangers to know that something's weird going on here.
Beyond his experiences that you're aware of, has he had more?
Yeah.
He's had more of seeing other people
Yeah.
being
Exactly.
doubled.
Not just me. He's seen Terry. It's just,
Same effect, though? They don't talk to
I
him?
think
They're-
it's your house.
they just go on. Well,
Part of it.
It happens at the Dollar General, too.
Happens at the Dollar.
What happens there?
Well, yeah, there's stuff going on. We got one on our Facebook page. The first day they opened the store, a big bottle of detergent moved off the shelf. You know, one of the big ones
Yeah.
on the top shelf?
Yeah.
All by its lonesome, on camera.
Yeah.
And the girl that worked there as a manager, she was a customer in the store. And she goes, you wouldn't believe what happened today. And she gave us that video. And
Wow.
this happens all the time over there.
That's incredible.
So there's always something being torn off a shelf, whole shelf being pushed over. The best story they had was just before Christmas.
That seems like a haunting.
Yeah, just before Christmas, they had all these sale tags on items in the store, half off. And she came in the morning, and all the sale tags were on the floor, and they made a trail around the floor, all stuck to the floor,
Oh, God.
that linoleum. And she said they found a box of cookies, opened up, there was a few cookies gone, and there was change all the way around it. And I said, did you look at the dates of the change? She goes, no, I just swept it up, cleaned up
Oh,
the
yeah.
mess.
Wondered what they would have been.
And she told me later that this has been later on in the year. She finally quit there, but she was in the office one day, and she said the safe opened up all by itself. I said, that's where they got the change from.
Interesting.
So they're physical.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, there's literally, you've got everything. It's like spin the carnival wheel. What do you want? Doppelgangers, ghosts,
I always
UFOs.
tell people to go to the store. Don't bother
Sasquatch.
me, leave my ghosts alone.
Yeah.
Right.
So, and I don't know about the other places in town. You don't hear from everybody. But I'm sure they got stories too. I think it's in the ground.
Your house has got a lot of interesting
the magnetics and the
geometry.
faults. And
Didn't you say one time somebody studied your house or was going to kind of like research it or maybe ghost hunt or something like that?
I had ghost hunters come out, but that's where the doppelganger thing happened. And that was one of the first instances where other people were affected besides me. And they were actually... her husband and his brother were in the shop working. Her and her daughter were upstairs in my daughter's room, and they came down after about an hour, walked outside. Terry and I said, how's it going up there? And she wouldn't answer us. And she just walked out in the front lawn, looked around, came back in, never paid us any mind. And then an hour later, she came down with her mom, and Terry said, how come you didn't talk to us? She goes, I've been up there for 2 hours.
Yeah.
I say, okay. So, yeah. And, they had the voice recordings and everything. So it happened. It was physical, but she wasn't involved,
It's wild.
So it can affect anybody. It's not just me.
Yeah. Those are pretty outstanding stories. I mean... Like I said, I've not had anything like that.
What's funny is I got a guy that comes by about every 5 years to the shop, and he asks me the same questions every time. And when I get done answering, he says, well, you said that last time. Like, you asshole.
Because you asked the same exact question.
What is he?
To see if I'm telling the truth.
What is it? Oh, really?
Right? He's testing you.
Yeah. He's testing me.
Well, you told that exact same story on our show verbatim. I mean, the story didn't change at all.
No, I mean, it's...
Well, you're not making anything up. That's the whole
it's
thing,
just experiences.
Yeah.
And I think that's what people like to hear.
Yeah.
I mean, it's...
Well, and if you were making it up, you'd have to remember the story in a different way of like how you made it up. When it's a memory, it's
there.
Changes.
Just, it's
Memorex.
like the back of your hand. Yeah, 100%. Oh, man. And what else? We haven't touched on UFOs yet. We still have UFOs to go. Any new UFO activity?
Not really, but we did recover a photograph that was taken back, I'm thinking, before Humbotzman passed.
Okay.
There's a kahuna from Hawaii that came out. And just before the derecho came across and melted our power line because of the fault line, all that, he called up and he said, I'm calling in ships. I want you to come out to the spring at Serpent Mound that he blessed. And the day he blessed that spring is when Humbotzman was up at Serpent Mound with like 1,000 people. And the clear sky, a big rainbow shot across the sky. And it was like, okay, we get it.
That's wild.
But he blessed that spring. And this, I don't know about kahunas, but I guess they're important people in Hawaii because they can recite their past generations, But he called in these ships. He says, be out at the spring at a certain time. We went out there in the evening. We sat. And it got dark, and as you know, at the spring, there's nothing there across the street where the crop circle was.
Exactly.
It's just blank.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Terry's daughter sat on the edge of the spring, and I took her picture, and the camera flashed, got her picture, and about an hour later, here come the ships. And it was raining. It was drizzling. And these ships came in and circled us and left. They were like orbs. And that was it. And we gathered everything up. One of the guys was a physicist that worked on the Chandra telescope from West Virginia. And we got back, and I put that picture on my computer monitor. And right behind Aurelia, against that backdrop, was a triangle of 7 ships. They were there the whole time.
Wow.
But the camera saw it, but we didn't. Until we were supposed to see them.
Right.
And like, how does that work? So I just posted that. We just found that picture, and it's actually on our Facebook group now.
Very cool. I want to see that, yeah.
So, and it's just like, stuff like that happens, and it's, man, that's too cool. You can't make it up.
No.
It just happens.
I just want to have some experiences, I guess.
We need
know,
to visit.
yeah.
I need to sit
Serpent
outside
Mound
and look up at the sky more.
I'll tell you what, Bub. We'll go there. When you went to Serpent Mound, have you ever put an intention out there, or that's what we need to
Think about what
and
you
have
want.
Terry would probably love to take him out there and do a little blessing and
Sure.
a little intentional.
That'd be
because
fun.
Honestly, if you put the
Might
intention
take you down
to,
the creek, you know.
yeah,
You bring your swimming suit.
I would do
she
that.
offered us when we were there last time. We kind of ran out of time.
I would do that. I think I could use it.
Yeah, I think everyone should.
Been a wild. It's been a wild year.
It's been a weird year. That eclipse, man, that really brought in some interesting energy.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Wow.
yeah. For you,
Yeah. It was interesting.
you think a lot of natives don't even honor that. They'll sit inside and draw the blinds down and not even look at.
Why?
I don't know.
Well, that makes sense because I looked at
There's
it the whole
something to do
time.
with the energy. Not all of them.
It's weird energy.
But there are certain groups of natives that won't even watch the eclipse.
Really?
They'll go inside and they'll draw the shades down and wait till it's over with.
They think it's bad energy.
Yeah, you gotta wonder.
Felt
It was
I don't
one of
know.
the strangest events of my life. I
felt weird to me.
never thought I would say that or thought it was that cool, but
It
was weird.
amazing.
Where'd you guys go for it?
I
Back
was
where we
back
grew
home.
up, we were where we grew up was in the totality zone.
Nice.
So
Yeah,
our
Salina,
buddy,
St. Mary's.
Yeah.
our buddy had his parents' farm. They have some like golf carts, and we brought our camper out there and camped out and hung out.
The coolest thing I saw was at Serpent Mound was these little flowers. And they're blooming, right? And it's this the thing happens with the sun. And it's all over. And just before the sun became totality, they went to sleep, right? Well, damn it, the sun came back out and they never did come back out. They stayed asleep. It was like a cycle.
Yeah,
It's like, all right, the sun's back out. You think they would come
That
back
kind of
out.
freaked me out a little bit.
But
Right.
they
I
didn't.
don't know how to feel about that.
They didn't. They just stayed asleep. So you got to wonder, what's going on there?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
I've never been big into the energy or being able to feel it or this or that, but this was definitely the first year where I was like, okay, something moved. Like some energy is happening. I don't know.
think so.
Yeah, something
A
happened.
lot of people are constantly in that download situation, and I'm not. I'm just eyes wide open.
Yeah, same. I think maybe the universe knows that I'm already seeing enough strange stuff in real life that I don't need any extra. But
he's got to put it out. He's got to put it out there.
Yeah.
Like how I found my Native American flute. The guy told me when I met him, man, I really love your flute. He's like, oh, just put it out there. Just put it out there that you want a flute. Well, you'd be surprised how quickly that flute will come around. And then we're in Amsterdam.
yeah,
And I'm at a smart shop looking at peyote seeds. And I bought these two. It was like a gift shop. They had like a consignment shop, and they had these cool little Buddha earrings that I bought for my kids and my wife. And right below that was this beautiful South American 5-fingered flute. And I was like, there's no way. That guy literally said that a week and a half ago when we were in Colorado. Stoner was there.
Wow.
My buddy Chris, who was there. And I flew that thing home in my suitcase.
Sweet.
I was like, how much is this? She's like, I don't know. I was like, how old is it? She's like, we have no idea. This flute was here for sale before any of us ever started working here. It's been here for probably 25 to 30 years,
Wow.
sitting in this case. We don't know where it came from. Nothing.
Wow.
There it was.
Hey, speaking of flutes, we had a guy come out last year and it might have even been in the spring, but he did a ceremony where he was playing a pan flute. But the bones from the pan flute were made from condor bones.
Oh,
Jesus.
wow.
And it sounded really good.
I bet. The resonating.
Yeah, amazing.
interesting.
Wow.
Very interesting.
Who does this,
Dedicated people.
The people that come, they're just amazing. Yeah.
Dedicated to
Yeah,
their
you
craft.
guys have really created an amazing community of I wouldn't even say like-minded people, just people that are like hearts are kind of all in the same
It's a
place.
safe spot.
Yeah.
Safe space.
But
and
you know what you guys are really good at is for like my friend Rose that came to your event, like people that come from the outside and come to your events that maybe nobody knows. It's inviting. You don't feel like it's like a cliquey thing
not
or
awkward. Yeah.
No, not at all. She had a great time.
Great.
Everybody that I ever talk to that I send out there, nothing but positive experience. So I'm glad your event went well. I'm glad everything's going well with the shop and everything.
Thanks to you guys.
That's
Yeah.
well. Hey man,
Stoked about that. Thrilled about that.
I'm more
famous
happy. I'm more happy that it's helping you out than all the views and the crap and YouTube and all that.
100%.
Our whole goal with this show has always been to get the local Ohio researchers and authors and help support and promote what everybody's doing here, because it's just such a hotbed, and we've been fortunate enough to meet people like you and Jeff and Terry and Bev and Delcy and just the list goes on and on.
Right.
Whether it's Arthur or Bill Homan and Daryl Nichols and it's been amazing. It's been awesome becoming friends with all you guys, and boy, we had a hell of a time tonight, didn't we, Bub?
Pretty excellent. Yeah. I got a lot to think about.
And we don't want to keep you too late, Tom. Again, all of your links and contacts will be in the description for everybody. But if you want to let everybody know about the Facebook group, where they can find you guys, your event page, your website.
AlternateUniverseRockshop.com, and go on there, and all our events are listed. The spring equinox will be March 20, 21, 22 at Woodland Altars. It just changed hands.
Yeah, I heard about
A
that.
little guy from Columbus bought it. The
Really?
whole thing, yeah.
Okay, we need to network with
He's
that
a
guy.
real estate mogul. And he's going to revamp the whole thing.
Amazing.
The chalets, he's going to redo the pool, you name it. They're going to bring it back.
Good.
No way.
Yeah.
Have you spoken to him directly or
No, just indirectly, but
through the grapevine of the community?
that's the plan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Man, I was hoping that it wasn't just going to be another dude that lets it fall into repair. And
No.
those chalets are amazing up there.
The bones are there. All you got to do
Yeah.
is fix them up. And the value, I imagine he got a really good price for it. So
But they had a swimming pool with the slide back in the
Yeah,
day up
everything.
there. And
They got
all-
a zip line.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man.
So, yeah, I think it's going to come back and it's going to be good.
Clean up that pond.
And
and
apparently he likes what we're doing.
Very cool.
yeah,
He
great.
didn't restrict us at all.
Very cool.
But,
Yeah.
we leave it better than it was when we got there.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Good
Well,
caretakers.
After we get off air, I'd like to talk to you about some things that we had some folks from Europe on the show talking about archaeoacoustics and energies and sound frequencies at ancient sites, and they really want to come to Serpent Mound. But they got to pay for travel, so we're trying to like team up with them somehow. But I've mentioned it to Terry, I think the last time I ran into you guys, and but I don't know. And I think I always go back to Woodland Altars and just maybe Strange Road throwing an event there.
I think Woodland is the apex of the energy.
Yeah.
Because you got the fault line that tees off right there
Yeah,
and goes across the crater. And the intersection's right there where Woodland Altars is.
yeah,
So I think there's always a good vibe there.
absolutely.
And we've never had anything really negative happen.
No, those events are always awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll talk a little later. But wow, this has been amazing, Tom. Thank you so much again. Our audience loves you to death. We love you to death. Thank you so much for supporting the Strange Road and
Absolutely.
always talking about us and sharing the word. And we'll continue to do the same thing with your events and the Rock Shop. And
Great.
it's been awesome. And all of you out there, we appreciate the hell out of each and every one of you. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe. You got to hit that notification bell. And if you're listening on Spotify, Apple, or anywhere else you listen to your podcast, please rate us, review us. We would love to connect. This has been a wonderful night. Bub, any last words from you?
Nope.
Once again, thank you to Stoner and thank you to Disbro. He hopped on a FaceTime with me to help me dial in some audio stuff. So much love, peace, and chicken grease, y'all.
Peace. All right.
Good show.
Oh, yeah.